Well, during their long careers in the military, Pete and David didn't think too much of their exposure to repetitive blasts. It was their job. They did it with pride and they loved it. But it's left them with lifelong injuries. Now they feel forgotten.
They've done nothing. I can't understand why. It's good enough for us to serve our country. We'd like for our country to look after us.
I've had the tremors now for probably about 4 years.
Best mates David and Pete served long army careers. David for 31 years, Pete for 18. They've now hit their 60s and they're struggling.
My hand tremors where they just start shaking for no reason.
I can't sleep. I'll sit at home sometimes by myself and just cry for no apparent reason.
The pair started in the Army Reserve before fully enlisting. For most of their service, they were in mortar platoons. Firing shells was their career.
I love playing around with mortars. My grandfather was a bloody mortarman. My great-grandfather was an artilleryman in World War I. My dad was artillery.
Is it possible to estimate in your army careers how many mortar shells you may have fired? Are we talking thousands and thousands?
Closer to 20,000 rounds or up, if not more. So, and there's blocks of training we done where we, like I said, fired over a 5-day period in excess of 3,000 rounds.
They may look small, but the power behind these devices is immense.
And that's you, David, is it?
That's me.
And you did this thousands and thousands of times, Pete, over and over and over.
Repetitively.
Bit of power there.
There is, yeah, there's a lot. The rounds travel up to 10,000 metres high and can travel out up to nearly 5 kilometres.
5 Ks and as high as a plane.
Yep.
And the protective gear they wore bordered on laughable.
You weren't wearing much protection. Are these little $2 earmuffs?
$2 earmuffs. If you're lucky you had them on. Like my number 2, he's not wearing nothing except a rag over his hat.
You don't even have a hat on.
No.
Medical evidence is emerging the world over regarding the effects of brain blast injuries, with the United States and Great Britain joining many countries in compensating veterans. Pete and David are in no doubt they have brain blast injuries. David struggles with daily life on the central New South Wales coast.
David, when did you first think that there was something wrong?
I passed out in 2019 and I was taken to the hospital and that, and then I got diagnosed back then with mild concussion and mild cognitive impairment. I've just recently been diagnosed with first stage Alzheimer's disease. I've got chronic depression. My life's gone downhill since 2019.
Pete holds down a job as a postman on Russell Island in Moreton Bay, east of Brisbane.
About 2 years ago it started to get quite bad because my wife just kept pointing out, you know, I told you this or you've told me that, and I kept repeating myself, or she kept having to repeat things for me.
The 3-year Royal Commission into Defence and Veteran Suicide, which concluded in June 2024, made strong recommendations about brain blast injuries incurred by servicemen and women, none of which have been acted upon. Recommendation 61 in the final report states Defence and the Department of Veterans Affairs should establish a brain injury program, assess and treat neurocognitive issues affecting serving and ex-serving members, whatever their cause, and provide pathways for further medical assessment. Dr. Michael Buckland has spent years studying brain injuries, particularly CTE, in former football players.
And there can be problems with thinking, where people find they're unable to plan properly, they're unable to remember things.
He founded and is director of the Australian Sports Brain Bank for the University of Sydney and Royal Prince Alfred Hospital, and has now established the Veterans Brain Bank.
I don't think veterans should be alarmed that bad things are going to happen to all of them. We don't yet have enough information. It's just important we've started the journey of understanding.
The journey of understanding may have just started, But these vets feel as though they have been left behind by the government despite the Royal Commission's findings.
I want someone to understand what this government's doing to us veterans. They're leaving us for dead.
You feel as though you've got all these symptoms, it's clearly linked to your work in the army, and no one's listening.
I'm struggling to woman pay rent and do bills like everyone else. And the government seems to ignore it. And I've had to sit down for the last couple of weeks, listen to these two people, Dutton and Albanese. Not once have they mentioned anything about veterans. Not once. Like we don't exist. I'm not the only veteran. And when I hear that we've lost over 3,000 veterans through suicide, I'm thinking, how close am I going to be before I'm one of the, it's a number. I don't want to be a number.
And we need to make sure that you're not, David. Your service mattered. And we have to start treating our veterans with the respect they deserve. That means getting them the help they need. And if you or someone close to you needs help, there is support available. Contact Lifeline on 13 11 14.